Back on TYT Sports, a brand new segment I created all of 4 seconds ago called Speed Round. We have 5 minutes to do 2 clips each because we're sometimes out of studio time. And we have to get as many clips as we can for you guys because every time we put one up, you guys say we want more. They're fiends. It's true. I don't blame them.
They're hungry.
Joe Rogan, that's the topic of conversation for the MMA clip today because Joe Rogan wants a rule change in the MMA. He does not want to interview UFC fighters after they've been knocked out or TKO'd following the fight, and for understandable reasons. The most recent example, UFC 203, the quick context. We've talked a little bit about this. I did a clip on Sunday. We've done a clip on Monday. This is still a little bit of the aftermath because, again, it's one of the strangest cards we've ever seen. And all the way up to the heavyweight title fight between Miocic and Overeem. Overeem claimed that when he put Miocic on his ass in the first round, early on in the first round, that Miocic tapped when he went for the choke. And then Overeem is being interviewed by Joe Rogan after, because they interview the winner and the loser. And Joe Rogan asks him, and he says, I think Miocic tapped. They said, okay, let's go to instant replay. Miocic didn't tap, and then he felt it was an awkward situation because he thought that Overeem's head was just scrambled after being TKO'd. So here's what Joe Rogan had to say via Twitter. I asked the UFC brass if we could please refrain from interviewing fighters after they've been KO'd. I don't think it's wise nor fair, he continued to say. If you ever talk to a friend who's been KO'd, their perception of reality can be drastically off and their memory is severely impaired.
Of course.
Agree with Joe Rogan? Should it only be the winner after and leave the loser to be not interviewed and wait a little bit? What's the stance?
There's certain things I need to say. All right, I love Joe Rogan. I listen to his podcast relentlessly. He also said he was going to quit if they sold. They sold, he's not going to quit. So I'm going to take it with a pinch of salt. Like, because there's rumors going around that he's willing to quit if this isn't pushed forward.
Yeah, because he wants his
and I don't believe that would happen. If they said, no, Joe, we're still going to interview them, he's not walking away. And if he wants to prove me wrong, so be it. But if I understand where he's coming from, because it's not just that their perception is altered, it's that it's embarrassing at times, especially if you've been knocked out in emphatic fashion like Jose Aldo was by Conor McGregor. And even though I'm not the biggest Aldo fan, it still felt bad for the guy who is a world-class champion. He was crying in his corner after it happened because his world just collapsed.
Of course.
And by the way, you got to think about the damage that's been done to their head. Like, I don't think that it's the wisest moment to be asking them to talk or to go and express their feelings, because, as you mentioned, they might not be on the same. They might not have the same. Pick that up. And it might not be the wisest moment to ask them for their thoughts on the fight, as you just mentioned there with the recent example, because their mind is not functioning in the exact same way because they've just been battered for however many rounds they went before. So give them some time, and then post-match press conference, if they want to talk, let them talk. I mean, I know there's tons of examples out there where some of the most significant moments in the UFC have happened from post-fight interviews. Like, we've got Nate Diaz, after he did win a fight, screaming to the camera that he wants Conor McGregor. That eventually led to that kind of feud kind of being come to fruition. But sometimes it is awkward when there's fighters in there that just want to go back and reflect on their thoughts, not be asked about how their head was just kicked in or punched in.
I'm split on it because I think there's implications. I think that they should, if it's a title fight, in this case it was Miocic versus Overeem for the heavyweight title, I think you should have to be interviewed. And I understand completely where the other side of the argument is, like what you're saying. Exactly. Your head scrambled. You're definitely not in the right state of mind if you've just been knocked out. Or TKO'd in any sense, just getting your head beat in. To be giving answers. Maybe, in all fairness, to make it a little, one question. Not 2 or 3. One question. However, what I'm curious from the UFC's point here is, are they going to bend to the will of Joe Rogan? Do they feel that Joe Rogan is that instrumental to their success in broadcast? And he is instrumental to their success in broadcast because Joe Rogan is, I would think, the most known celebrity broadcaster. I'm not saying that in a negative light, just because he knows the MMA in and out more so than anybody sitting in this room for sure, is needed for their broadcast purposes. I can't imagine the UFC without Joe Rogan.
No.
I don't know who you'd bring in. That's my big thing. So will they say, all right, Joe, we feel you on that one. You don't have to interview fighters after? Are they going to say, no, tough shit, Joe, we'll find someone else who will?
I don't know if, it is a barbaric sport, but I don't know if it's necessarily just about the actual action of talking. It's just about the words that are coming out of their mouth, whether or not they're going to be taken out of context, which we know the media is going to do, or whether or not it's whether or not it's just a situation that it doesn't add anything to the fighter. It doesn't add to their reputation. Yeah, they can be asked a question such as...
It creates T-shirts.
Yeah,
I'm not surprised, motherfucker.
But that's when he won. That's
true.
when he won.
That's
So
when
it's
he
the
won.
same thing. Like, of course, when McGregor lost, everyone wanted to know what was going through his mind, because, as you can tell, those videos that went around when he first looked up at the TV and saw the screen, like, he was devastated.
When Anderson Silva got knocked out, people were going, "What? The first fight against Weidman?"
Not when he broke his leg, right?
No, that was the second fight.
You would have had to have two people hold him up.
Sure. The first fight, and we got to wrap this up, but the first fight when Silva got knocked out, people were going, "You better explain yourself."
Yeah, and you're going to get it. Like, think about it as well, right? That little interview in there is going to be followed up by another 30 or 40 interviews where you're getting cameras pushed in your face.
That is a good point. There is time. There's a time and place that the media gets their Shark Tank fill of. What am I trying to say here? There's a time and place at the post-match press conference. So there's a whole designated section for reporters to ask those questions, but they get about an hour to clean themselves up.
Here's my last point, kind of to Jacori and to you. Why are NFL players who just lost the Super Bowl, like Cam Newton, not interviewed on the field? They have to go and be interviewed in the post-match conference.
I think they grabbed some immediately.
Yeah, some of them might be, but I don't think that they are. I don't think that after they've lost. It's not mandatory.
It's not mandatory.
I don't think that they're supposed to be like, all right, you just lost the biggest match of your career. Stand put so I can ask you how it feels. Well, it feels shit.
Again, the most recent example was Cam Newton got his brain scrambled like my eggs this morning on opening Thursday Night Football, and again, it seemed like he was a bit rattled in the press conference.
Yeah, I think that there is moments where people will be asked to talk, but I'm talking about, like, if Cam Newton was to just say no after the Super Bowl, then yeah, he would have been fine, but he didn't, but he had at least some time to kind of grasp what happened, and even then, he still was, his comments were taken out of context in the press conference. Well, it's called a crybaby. That's a separate issue.
Getting taken out of context has been happening in the history of media since its inception.
Yeah.
And that's nothing that's ever going to change. It's going to happen, unfortunately, for a long, long time. All right. Well, last in this clip, we were at, wow, what a great brand new segment I introduced.
Yeah, it failed.
We went 2 minutes over. Comment below, like, favorite, subscribe. We'll see you next time.